Well, good evening and welcome into a Friday edition of KC Sports Tonight. I am Mark Poulose, and we got four great topics for you today. We got the Royals starting a three-game set this weekend at the Chicago White Sox, plus two of the Royals' top prospects, St. Joe's Noah Cameron, and then last year's first-round pick, number 6 overall, Jac Caglianone, continue to make headlines for the Royals. Plus, the Chiefs had another week of voluntary OTAs. We're going to break down what happened down at the Chiefs training facility. But Mark Poulose here on a solo Friday show for you. We got Marlia. She's off. It's her weekend. Neil Jones is on vacation down there in Florida. So for the next 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes, we'll see how long we can go here. You just get the Mark Poulose show today. But we're going to start with the Royals, that three-game set at the Chicago White Sox. And the White Sox are the worst team in the American League Central. The Royals just wrapped up a three-game set at the rival St. Louis Cardinals, taking 2 out of 3 games, splitting yesterday's doubleheader. But the Royals, a lot of fans looking for this team to go on a run. Right now, they're at 33-30, 7.5 games out of first place. If they're going to go on a run, it would be a good place to start it today against the White Sox. The Royals have won 10 games in a row against Chicago, and get this, they are 16-1 dating back to last season against the Southsiders. So this should be a good chance for the Royals to pick up victories. They have 3 pretty good starters on the mound this week. Starting tonight in Game 1, he finished second in the American League Cy Young voting just 1 year ago. Seth Lugo. Game 2, Michael Wacha. Game 3, and I think this might be his last start for the Royals, maybe for a little bit, maybe for the foreseeable future, is Michael Lorenzen. He's a guy who's thrown a no-hitter in his major league career, but the Royals staff is that good. Lorenzen could be on the way out of the rotation. So kind of setting the table here with the Royals, looking at them, we already mentioned they're 33-30, 7.5 games out of first place. This is a team that has a lot of aspirations. A lot of people think that they can go back to the playoffs this year, but this is a team that has just been searching for consistency since day 1 of the season. In their last 8 games, the Royals have alternated wins, win-loss, 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 win-loss. They just can't really seem to get on the run that they need to kind of vault themselves up. But the good news is it does look like the offense is kind of turning around. We saw the Royals called up Jac Caglianone for the weekend, for the series at St. Louis. Cags maybe didn't have the series fans expected, but the offense had a big leap ahead, something that we actually haven't seen dating back to August of last year. So the Royals scored 22 runs in 3 games against St. Louis, 37 hits. It was their highest scoring series of the season. They scored 5 runs in all 3 games, and this is unbelievable for a team that went to the playoffs last year and has a winning record this year. This is the first time they scored 5 runs in all 3 games in a series since August of 2024. That tells you just how terrible this offense has been, and also how good the pitching staff has been. They haven't scored 5 runs in all 3 games of a series dating back to August of last year. Truly incredible from the Royals. Another guy that he looks like he's coming out of maybe an early season, I shouldn't say slump, but a little bit of a funk, is Vinny Pasquantino. He's gotten on base in 21 games in a row. That matches his career best, also the second longest streak in the majors. A lot of people want to see the Royals step up and be a good team again. Last year, a big part of that was Vinny Pasquantino. He's one of the best players in all of baseball last year with runners in scoring position. The Royals need him to get back to that point. And I think one thing fans really need to look at with Vinny, this is a guy maybe through the first month of the season, he was batting .220. He was really struggling. We saw him here in the offseason this year, added a lot more speed to his bat. He wanted to try to maybe hit for more power, and he was maybe struggling there with his average at the plate. But this is a guy who has made an adjustment here at the big league level and has once again kind of returned to form. I think his batting average right now is about .260, not as high as he would like it to be, but he has certainly over the last month or so really turned into one of the Royals' best hitters. That is something good to see. Also, another guy who we have seen kind of improve here in the last month, especially in the last week, is catcher Salvador Perez. This is a guy who's going to get his number retired in the Royals Hall of Fame one day. And what's been interesting to me this season is seeing a lot of Royals fans. I mean, this is a guy, he is the heart and soul, the heartbeat of this team. And a lot of Royals fans have almost seemingly turned on Salvador Perez, saying they want Salvi out of the lineup, that he doesn't belong in the major leagues anymore. Maybe that Father Time has caught up to him. Everyone's saying Father Time is undefeated. But Salvador Perez, in his last 53 plate appearances, is batting .320 with a .358 OBP and .500 slugging. Salvador Perez, he had a home run about a week ago, and that could have been a big turning point for Salvi. He wasn't playing the best baseball that he wanted to play, but if Vinny's playing well and Salvi is playing well, that's good news for Royals fans because they are, if those guys go on a run, this team can really get hot. Another thing that I think also helped up, we're going to talk about this a little bit later when we get to Jac Caglianone, is some of the lineup changes. Maikel Garcia was batting fifth all year. This is a guy that's knocking on the door of being an American League All-Star. He is one of the best third basemen in the major leagues this year, and he has the best batting average on the Royals team. They moved him up to the 3 spot in those 3 games in St. Louis. It did look good, but one thing we do need to see with Maikel, he's been a little erratic a little bit in the field. Maybe want to clean up some of those errors. Good news, though, for the Royals. Now that we're seeing the offense turn around, we know they have one of the best starting rotations in the major leagues. We know they have one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. If the Royals start hitting, this is a big stat. The Royals are 24-8 this season when they out-hit their opponents. If they can just be major league average on offense, maybe a little better, they're going to be one of the best teams in baseball. Right now, 3rd in average in Major League Baseball, but they got to find a way to convert this because they're only 27th in Major League runs per game. Now, we know a big reason that they have been winning, obviously, is the pitching and the defense, particularly relieving pitching. Our new closer this year, Carlos Estevez, he was a guy that John Sherman really talked about this offseason. He was signed late in the year, I believe January, February, somewhere in the offseason, and John Sherman said this was the biggest signing that the Royals could make that would impact winning this year. So far this year, Carlos Estevez, 18 saves, 2nd in Major League Baseball, a 1.95 ERA, and I think what's maybe most important, looking maybe to some advanced stats, and wins above replacement, he's at 1.2, which leads all relieving pitchers. I know a lot of people have been complaining about Estevez. The other day, it was not great in St. Louis game 1 of the doubleheader when he blew that one yesterday, but this is a guy with 100 career saves, and he's 2nd in Major League Baseball in saves. I don't really know what fans want. I mean, the results are there. He's not going to be perfect. No pitcher is going to allow 0 runs all season, but he's the guy they paid him to come in the pressure cooker, and he has done nothing but succeed in that role. The guys obviously love him also. He's a good mentor back there, spending time in the clubhouse. He's great with the guys. He's great with the new pitchers. He's great at showing some of these guys that have come up like Steven Cruz, how to pitch at the major league level, how to get ready, how to prepare, how to game plan at the major league level. Carlos Estevez, I've seen some people on Royal social media complaining about him. Would not do that. Carlos Estevez has been phenomenal. Now, staying with the Royals, 2 prospects so far this season early on have really jumped off the page. The first one we're going to talk about is actually a guy who grew up maybe an hour and a half from where I'm standing right now. We know he went to games at Kauffman Stadium as a child. He sat up there in the 400 level. He ran on down to the front seats when he could. His name is St. Joe's Noah Cameron, just 25 years old. And guys, I think we need to take a step back and just really appreciate what we're seeing right here, because when you start doing the stat I'm going to give you right now, he's only the 2nd player to ever do this in the history of Major League Baseball. They've been playing Major League Baseball since the 1800s, and he's the 2nd player to ever do this, and he's from St. Joe, Missouri. So St. Joe's Noah Cameron, shout out to you, but how about this? He's the 2nd pitcher in MLB history to start his career with 5 starts of at least 6 innings and allowing 1 run or less. The other guy that has done that was Fernando Valenzuela of the Dodgers back in the day, a 6-time All-Star and a Cy Young Award winner. I mean, Noah Cameron, what can we say about this guy? It has been nothing short of phenomenal. 25 years young, he's got 5 pitches, and he's just a crafty lefty. He's a young guy out there. He's 25 years old, but he pitches like a Major League veteran. One thing that's actually really stood out to me is I've covered 3 different Major League teams. So when you walk in there, you can kind of see who feels like they belong, who's a new guy. Maybe he got called up from AAA, and maybe the lights are a little bit too bright when they get to the show. It's a different ballpark. It's a different environment. You're going up against guys making hundreds of millions of dollars on the other side. Noah Cameron does not look out of place, and Noah Cameron does not feel like he's out of place. This is a guy, he just pitches with confidence. Is he going to blow it by you 96, 97 miles per hour? No. But he has 5 different pitches. Does he have them all on every day? No. But he's got enough craft and enough savvy in his game that he knows what pitches he has on which day, and he really just complements them on each other. And we've seen it. I mean, the results have been phenomenal. He's pitched almost 32 innings at the big league level as a rookie, and he's only allowed 3 earned runs. I mean, it's phenomenal. As we said earlier, it's just the 2nd pitcher in Major League Baseball history to start his career with such good starts. And the big thing that we're going to need to see here is how are the Royals going to find a way to get him a permanent spot in this starting rotation, because this is a guy, you have to throw him out there. The guy's a .85 ERA. He's one of the best pitchers you have on your staff, and your staff is one of the best in baseball. So if he's one of your best pitchers, you can make an argument that he's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. I think a spot where we could see him maybe slide in there, if provided there aren't any more injuries, is going to be where Michael Lorenzen slides in. Michael Lorenzen is the five pitcher right now in the rotation. He's starting Sunday at the White Sox. His last couple starts have not been his best, but Michael Lorenzen, he has been a proven major league pitcher. He's a proven commodity. We know what he is. The reason I think that Cameron is in line for that spot is Michael Lorenzen, he's pitched in the bullpen in his career. He knows what it takes to go out there, and he knows how to get outs out of the bullpen. I think if the Royals, they're going to carry 12, 13 pitchers, if you're going to have your five best in your rotation, and Noah Cameron is going to be one of them. The starts of the season that he has had is absolutely phenomenal. So St. Joe's Noah Cameron, very cool to see you continue to succeed. I know you didn't get the win yesterday against St. Louis, but St. Joe, not a baseball hotbed. He's playing at the major league level and shining. So it's very cool to see, just as a Royals, a fan for people in Kansas City, but also, guys, it's a local guy. He's one of us. He's from Kansas City area. He grew up going to all these parks, all these youth facilities all around here. Those places help make him who he is today, and it's very cool to see him shining at the major league level. But maybe the next topic here, the guy that's grabbing all the headlines, is Royals top prospect Jac Caglianone. Got called up this last week, and this was making national headlines. We made a big deal about this here in Kansas City, but MLB Network, ESPN, this was a guy, he really had the eyes of baseball upon him, and it's just because of what he does on the field. But we know the Royals were kind of maybe trying to temper expectations. They don't want people to come up and expect this guy to hit 40 home runs. But the thing is, when you see this, how he performs on the field, your mind just starts to go places, because you can see that this guy, Jac Caglianone, can do things that so few people on this entire planet can do. There's about 1,000 big leaguers in the major leagues, and Jac Caglianone hits it harder than almost every single one of them. There are probably 10 players in all of baseball, and all of professional baseball, that have the power and the ability with that. They always say power is the last skill, the last tool to develop. Jac Caglianone's 22 years old and can hit 440-foot home runs like it's no one's business. We saw his very first plate appearance here in the major leagues. It was a two-strike pitch. He got a little flat-footed. He didn't get the barrel on the ball, and he hit it almost 400 feet. I think it would actually have been a home run in the LA Angels ballpark. We're seeing signs here. But the thing is, a lot of fans not really excited by the results that we saw. We saw 1 for 13 against St. Louis, but the good news is he did get his first hit yesterday. Maybe that helped, just gets the monkey off his bat. He was going up there. I think his first game he was 0 for 5, but he made contact in every single plate appearance. And I think he's put the ball in play handful of times, 9 times. I think 2 of those times that he's put the ball in play have been 2 of the 4 hardest hit balls by the Kansas City Royals all season long. So Jac Caglianone, we saw him do it at AA. We saw him do it at AAA. While we haven't seen maybe translate to necessarily hits here at the major league level, there's no doubt about it. The major league pitchers, he hits them just as hard as he was down there in AA and AAA. Big thing, though, with Jac Caglianone is he's going to have to play in the field somewhere. He's not going to be able to be a designated hitter every day. We know in college he was a first baseman, and he also was a pitcher, so he really didn't spend a lot of time outside of the infield at all. He threw gas off the mound, throwing 97, and he played first. The Royals are asking him to play right field in the big leagues. If there was any spot on the diamond where you potentially could hide someone defensively in the major leagues or on any baseball diamond, it's right field. But this is the major leagues. The ball's going to find you. There's a lot of left-handed hitters. Jac Caglianone's going to have to make plays. And maybe the one something I found very interesting listening to some of his comments that he made after St. Louis, they were asking him how he was dealing with playing defense at the major league level. And he mentioned the upper decks in these ballparks. So he's talking, this is a guy, again, who's last time you think he played outfield was high school, maybe even before. This is a guy, in high school, why would you not have this guy in the infield? It doesn't make sense to play him in the outfield. But in the outfield, is working out there, AA, AAA. They're playing in small ballparks that don't have a third deck, maybe don't even have a second deck. When they're working on catching these fly balls, they're catching them out of a blue sky or against clouds or against a high sky with no clouds. But now Jac Caglianone is going to have to pick that ball off a major league bat, and it's going to be in a mass of fans. And he said that's the one thing that he really is going to need to work on, is keying in on that ball in major league ballparks, because you're having to differentiate this gray object that's moving potentially 90, 100 miles, 105, 115, we know how hard he hits it, miles per hour, and he's going to have to find it against the crowd. And this is, I mean, we know he's a great athlete. He's the number 6 overall pick, but we also have to keep in mind this is a guy that has not played a lot of outfield in his entire life. So Jac Caglianone, we're going to have to see how he does there on defense. But I would say his first series here in playing for the Royals, I think he got his feet in the water, he got his first hit, he got a double, he got an RBI, and he played defense in the outfield. Those were all good things to see. He actually made a pretty good play out there in right field, but only reps are going to be able to help him with that. And again, just one more thing, we need to temper expectations with Jac Caglianone. They always say in sports, the biggest leap any player can make, maybe in any sport, is from AAA to the big leagues. That includes maybe going from college football to the NFL, going from college basketball to the NBA. A lot of people say the biggest jump for anyone to make is AAA to the major leagues. We're going to see how Jac Caglianone does that, because he was going up against pitchers who weren't making a lot of money. Now he's going up against pitchers who have $300 million contracts. There is a big difference in level of talent, but Jac Caglianone, so far, the start has been good. Now, we do have a couple more topics, or really just one more topic here to close. Just Chiefs wrapped up another week here of OTAs, and we got to speak with some of the coordinators this week. I'm just going to kind of go through some of the top points that I think a lot of Chiefs fans, we're all thinking about them here in the offseason. We're going to start with the comments from offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, and again, we are hearing the Chiefs. They said the same thing last year, so we're gonna wait until we see it, but they want to push the ball downfield. Matt Nagy said that is another thing that it really just came out of the Super Bowl. He said there was a lot of things that, a lot of Chiefs fans aren't going to like the result of the Super Bowl, but he said on Wednesday that there was a play at the very end of that where Patrick Mahomes threw it up to Xavier Worthy, and he said, we need to have more of that. That is a clue. That is one thing that we know that they were looking at, and one thing that we know they want him to do more again. But he says more than just emphasizing it in the media, they want to emphasize it as coaches to the players. Like, this is something that they're going to have to coach up. If you want Patrick Mahomes to go deep, you're going to have to be talking to him during the week. You're going to have to be talking to the receivers. You're going to have to be talking to the line. This is a huge thing. It's not just on Patrick, and it's not just on the wide receiver. This is a team game, the ultimate team game. And to get deep, the line's got to block. Patrick's got to take the right drop. The receivers have to get open. There's a lot of things that have to happen, but they really want to get there. Now, a lot of Chiefs fans, they heard this talk last year. They wanted to see the Chiefs go deep. Obviously, there was the injury to Rashee Rice there early on, and then Xavier Worthy was kind of pressed into the one. And then, the best laid plans of mice and men went awry. But Nagy said there was not a lot of consistency last year in the deep passing game because, first of all, the line was not consistent, but neither were the routes. I know this offseason with the Chiefs drafting Josh Simmons, with them trading for Jalen Moore, there's been a lot of emphasis on the offensive line. We saw in the Super Bowl the Eagles never blitzed, and Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. But Nagy, he was pretty adamant in saying that there were times where the line protected, where Mahomes took the drop and they were ready to throw, but the receivers just didn't get open. There's going to have to be a certain sense of pride among some of these wide receivers to try to get open, because if the team calls up a shot, you got to go. But again, as you'll hear football coaches say, a shot called is not a shot taken, because the number one thing in football, you cannot turn it over, and the Chiefs do not want to throw interceptions. Good news also here for Chiefs fans. We want to hear about the level of motivation for these guys. Matt Nagy said the very first day that Patrick Mahomes could come back to the facility after the Super Bowl, he was there and has been absolutely locked in. I thought it was kind of interesting to hear some of these comments, because we know obviously these guys that get to these levels, they're a little bit competitive psychopaths. Like, these guys will turn the tiniest slight into the biggest motivation, and the Chiefs kind of got the biggest slight of all time when they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. To hear the way that Mahomes has kind of attacked this offseason, Nagy says he's not been angry, not out for revenge, but has been kind of a cool, calm, and calculated approach to try to get better, because Patrick Mahomes knows he's in a championship window, and he does not want to let any of that go away. I think probably my biggest takeaway from Matt Nagy's comments was he said he wants to find a way schematically to help the team get better. And this is kind of a tone that I don't think we've really heard out of Matt Nagy in the past. It actually sounded a lot like Andy Reid, where you're really going to base the offense on the players, base your playbook on the players and talent that you have. Matt Nagy, to hear him kind of talk like this, it did kind of sound a little bit like Andy Reid. And again, I mentioned this earlier, he specifically mentioned that play at the end of the Super Bowl, a pass to Worthy. So again, that's a clue. That's something the Chiefs liked, and they keep bringing it up. That's something they're probably going to try to do here in the next upcoming season. And then one note here on offensive lineman Josh Simmons. Nagy said he had good reviews on Simmons. He's been very impressed with his professionalism. And I also know offensive line coach Andy Heck says that Simmons' athleticism is an A+. This is the first lineman the Chiefs have drafted in the first round in 12 years. We know he dropped because of the knee injury, but the Chiefs, the traits, they love him, and they said he's been doing great work with Rick Burkhalter. So it seems like everything's going good with Josh Simmons. We're going to have to wait and see there. And then quickly here to close, we have Spags and Dave Tobnub. Spags, he talked about a rotation on defensive tackles. They want to run 4 to 5 guys up front. I know some people were worried about second-round pick Omar Norman Lott. They said this is a guy you drafted in the second round, and he was a substitute at Tennessee. Why would you do something like that? Well, that's just how they play football these days. Inside, those big boys, there's a lot of energy expended in there. You're going to want to rotate those guys, keep them fresh going up against those offensive lines, so hopefully you can penetrate back into that backfield, because we do know sack is the most valuable defensive play, maybe outside of like an interception or a pick six. But sacks kill drives. That's why teams pay so much for pass rushers, is because sacks have such negative impacts on drives. So good to see that. And they also want to move Trent McDuffie inside. This is something that we saw a couple years ago. Trent McDuffie might be one of the most effective blitzing corners in all of National Football League. Last year he had to play a little bit more on the outside due to injury. Spags mentioned this year, this is a guy who's a 2-time All-Pro. They want to move him back inside. A little bit of a heat-seeking missile when he gets in there, because when McDuffie blitzes, he gets home. He affects plays. I mean, he is a very, very good player, and the Chiefs want to find more ways to maybe where he can expose other teams, use him as a weapon, because if you're looking at the defensive board as a chessboard, McDuffie is one of your key pieces, and he is a guy that you want to absolutely destroy the other team's game plan, and that's something that he can do. And also, they do move McDuffie inside. It's going to maybe allow Chamari Connor to play a little bit more on the field. Spags, so that's someone that they want to get on the field, someone that they need to get on the field. And then lastly here, special teams. We know football is a 3-phase game: offense, defense, and special teams. Special teams coordinator Dave Toub, one of the best in all of football, talked about. So maybe the most interesting thing I heard about him is this year there's a new touchback rule where if you kick it in the end zone, you go back out to the 35, which is a lot further in the past. Dave Toub thinks that there will be about 90% kickoffs will be returned in the NFL, because the penalty for a defense is so severe. If you kick it into the end zone, just boot it out of there, you give the other team the ball at the 35-yard line. I mean, a couple plays, they can be in field goal range. So Dave Toub expects to see 90% of kicks returned and hardly any touchbacks this year. So as a fan and observer of the NFL, that's got to be something really exciting to see. Now, some of those guys that we could see returning those kicks for the Chiefs, Nico Remigio looks like he's a pretty good lock to be a punt returner. Dave Toub said he continues to get better and better. But one thing that also stood out was that he said Xavier Worthy is the best punt returner in the league that no one knows about. Worthy was going to really be in the mix to return punts last year. We know he's one of the fastest players in all of football, but after that injury to Rashee Rice, Worthy was taken out of the mix in punt returner, and that's a weapon. That's a guy that could have changed the game for the Chiefs, simply just returning those kicks. So if the Chiefs wide receivers can stay healthy and Xavier can return kicks, I mean, can you imagine this guy, like a 4.2 speed, returning punts? If you have Dave Toub blocking this guy up, that is game-changing special teams, and something certainly to be looking out for. And then also 7th-round pick Brashard Smith out of SMU and formerly the University of Miami, drawing great reviews from Dave Toub for his top-end speed, a very, very good kick returner. He's a guy with pass-catching ability that originally started his football career as a wide receiver, but then moved to running back. So good stuff there from Dave Toub, to hear something that they're going to try to get some more speed there, returning guys. And Xavier Worthy, that would be certainly something to see. So that's pretty much all we have here on this Friday edition of KC Sports Tonight. Royals this weekend on the road at the Chicago White Sox. 3-game set there. Going to be really looking at that. And then tomorrow, Saturday, on KC TV5 at noon, the KC Current are on the road at Gotham FC. That game kicks off at noon. You can watch it right here on your favorite channel, Channel 5, KC TV5, CBS. Plug that one here for you one more time. KC Current, #1 team in the league, top of the table, 24 points. Timo Chawinga just was named the NWSL Player of the Month for May. They're really, really rolling. They had 3 players called up to the national team and to the U.S. Women's National Team, and then also their goalie. She started 2 starts in goal for Brazil. She also just got a call-up. I mean, the KC Current are loaded. They're a superstar team. Like we talk about the Warriors in 2015 with all those guys. That pretty much is what it feels like the KC Current are. They have superstars, national players at every stop on the field. So big weekend here in KC Sports. That's a look here for the 5:30 streaming show. But me and Marlia will see you at 10:30 on Saturday and Sunday. Thanks for watching today, guys.